Beneath the barren expanse of Antarctica, silence reigns with a gravity that feels almost sacred. The surface, a blinding canvas of white, conceals a secret world in constant motion, a hidden dance of ice that flows with an elegance rivaling any river or stream on Earth. The frozen landscape is not inert. It breathes, shifts, and whispers tales carved into its crystalline depths over millennia. Each glacier is a living monument, sculpted by forces unseen, stretching with deliberate patience toward distant horizons. As the wind howls across the icy plains, it carries echoes of this subterranean life, murmuring of rivers beneath and chambers uncharted, awaiting those who dare to venture into the untouched. Descending into the first cavern, the air grows colder, denser, carrying a silence so profound it resonates against the bones. Light enters sparingly through cracks, bending and refracting into delicate spectrums that shimmer on ice walls, revealing textures invisible to the casual observer. Crystals jut from the ground and ceiling, some delicate as spun glass, others sturdy and jagged, narrating a silent story of pressure, time, and relentless transformation. The soundscape is minimal but potent. The distant cracking of ice, the subtle drip of melting water, the whisper of frozen currents below. Every echo feels purposeful, as though the cavern itself listens and responds, aware of intruders but patient in its revelation. Exploring deeper, the complexity of formations becomes evident. Subterranean rivers, cloaked in ice, twist unpredictably, carving channels that glisten like liquid silver. Their flow is imperceptible yet persistent, reshaping tunnels and chambers slowly but relentlessly. Walking through this realm, a sense of temporal dislocation emerges. Here, minutes feel like hours, centuries like days. The interplay of pressure, temperature, and time has created structures impossible to recreate artificially. Some caverns open into vast halls, ceilings stretching tens of meters high, glittering with the refracted light of countless ice crystals. Each chamber feels like a cathedral, each formation a sculpture carved by invisible hands over eons. Amid this beauty lies a fragility that demands respect. Thin ice bridges arch over hidden channels, their surfaces deceptive in strength. A misstep could trigger collapse or plunge one into hidden rivers, yet these dangers coexist seamlessly with the serene elegance of the environment. Observing the subtle gradations of color within the ice, blues deep as the ocean, pale whites tinged with silver, translucent edges catching every ray, reveals a palette unmatched by any terrestrial artist. Here, Antarctica's story is written in ice, a narrative of survival, transformation, and the slow, unyielding passage of geological time. As the expedition continues, the juxtaposition of stillness and motion becomes more profound. The ice seems alive, flowing in slow, imperceptible currents, creating natural sculptures that suggest both intentionality and randomness. Shadows stretch and compress with the shifting light, hinting at hidden chambers beyond view. Each discovery provokes awe and a humbling awareness of human insignificance in the face of nature's immensity. The echoes of ancient glaciers remind explorers that beneath this frozen exterior lies a narrative older than recorded history, each fracture a punctuation in the continent's ongoing story. The ice awakens, not as a silent tomb, but as a living archive, whispering its secrets to those who listen with patience and reverence. Deeper into the labyrinth of ice, the cavern walls begin to reflect subtle changes in the glacier's mood. Veins of darker blue trace the path of ancient currents, winding through translucent ice like the arteries of a frozen giant. The air carries a metallic crispness, a mingling of mineral and water frozen in time. Footsteps reverberate softly, almost swallowed by the cavern's immense scale, emphasizing the solitude and vastness of this hidden world. Here, one is acutely aware of the thin line between observer and intruder, of the delicate equilibrium that governs every shard of ice, every hidden channel. The temperature gradient shifts unpredictably, creating zones where ice glows faintly as if warmed from within by an ancient pulse. Frost patterns form intricate lacework on ceilings and walls, each swirl a testament to the ceaseless dance between cold and pressure. As explorers navigate the twisting passages, unexpected chambers reveal themselves, their openings guarded by icicle curtains, glimmering like chandeliers in a cathedral. The path often forks, sometimes ending abruptly at sheer walls of glassy ice, sometimes leading to unexpected vertical shafts where the cavern plunges into darkness, hinting at depths yet unexplored. The sounds of the glacier are subtle but omnipresent. The distant groan of moving ice, the soft ripple of water beneath frozen layers, and the occasional echo of falling crystals. Every auditory detail reinforces the realization that this frozen world is alive, breathing with a rhythm imperceptible to the outside observer. Light becomes a guide and a storyteller, highlighting textures and structures with ethereal grace, casting shadows that suggest forms both familiar and fantastical. It is a theater of natural architecture designed over eons, indifferent to human presence yet magnificent in its artistry. Observing the interplay between ice and time, it becomes evident that this environment preserves memory in its very structure. Layers within the ice capture atmospheric histories, the rise and fall of temperatures, the migration of ancient creatures, even the whisper of wind trapped within microscopic bubbles. Touching the surfaces evokes a sense of connection, a tangible link to a past millions of years removed from the present. Here, every chamber is a chronicle, every crystal a sentence, every fractured wall a paragraph in a story written by the planet itself. As explorers press onward, they confront both beauty and danger. Cavern ceilings droop with immense frozen stalactites. Walls narrow unpredictably, requiring careful navigation. The fragility of certain formations demands reverence, a precise choreography of movement that respects the slow, patient artistry of nature. And yet within these challenges lies discovery. Crystalline arches spanning unseen chasms, chambers where ice forms natural bridges across subterranean currents, and alcoves illuminated by refracted light so vibrant it seems to pulse. Each encounter deepens the understanding that the glacier is not static. It evolves, shifts, and adapts, holding secrets only revealed to those who proceed with respect and curiosity. The deeper one ventures, the ice begins to take on an almost liquid appearance, flowing silently over ridges and between cavern walls as though defying the permanence of cold. Tiny fissures release a faint, almost imperceptible mist, carrying the smell of mineral-rich water that has traversed kilometers beneath the surface. Each cavern seems to pulse with a slow rhythm, as if the glacier itself breathes, expanding and contracting imperceptibly, shaping the subterranean world with patience beyond human comprehension. Shadows and light engage in an intricate ballet. Every corner, every surface reveals a new pattern, a new shimmer that captures attention and refuses to release it. Explorers notice formations resembling frozen waterfalls, ice suspended in mid-motion, catching the scarce light in crystalline sheets that scatter reflections like fragmented rainbows. The surfaces are smooth yet sharp, inviting both awe and caution. Beneath these frozen sculptures, the subterranean rivers continue their silent, relentless passage. Their course is hidden, heard only as distant murmurs echoing through hollow chambers, reminding visitors of the unseen forces at work beneath the frozen crust. The glaciers, while majestic, are a study in paradox, simultaneously immovable and dynamic, eternal and ever-changing. Every step deeper brings a sense of temporal dislocation. Geological processes spanning millennia are condensed into visible art, arches carved by pressure, walls etched with patterns, and floors polished by flowing meltwater. The sheer scale of the caverns provokes an acute awareness of human impermanence. Here, in these crystalline halls, time is not measured in days or years, but in the gradual, patient movements of ice. It is a narrative both silent and eloquent, one that requires attentive observation to fully comprehend. Despite the cave's apparent serenity, the dangers are omnipresent. Thin sheets of ice over hidden currents glisten deceptively, demanding careful negotiation. A misjudged step could shatter the illusion of stability, reminding explorers that respect is as essential as curiosity. Every encounter with the ice demands mindfulness, an alignment with the glacier's rhythm, a recognition that this world operates under its own terms. Yet within these constraints lies profound revelation. Natural bridges, delicate formations resembling abstract sculptures, and vast chambers whose ceilings refract the faintest light into kaleidoscopic displays, each a testament to the glacier's slow artistry. As the expedition moves forward, a subtle shift occurs. The ice seems to communicate through light and shadow, texture and sound, each detail a note in a symphony composed over millennia. Explorers sense a narrative embedded in every formation, a memory recorded in every layer. The glacier is not simply a frozen expanse. It is a living archive, a repository of history, geography, and silent storytelling. To move within it is to witness both creation and preservation simultaneously, to understand that the ice awakens not in the world above, but in these hidden sacred chambers where time itself seems to pause and watch. As explorers descend further, the cavern's scale becomes almost incomprehensible. Massive ice columns stretch from floor to ceiling, some wider than a house, their surfaces polished by centuries of subtle water flow. Tiny pockets of trapped air within the ice create sparkling constellations on cavern walls, giving the illusion of starlight suspended in frozen eternity. Each formation has a story to tell, an echo of climatic shifts, ancient pressure changes, and the glacier's own patient movements that are invisible to the outside world. The atmosphere is thick with anticipation, a sensation that something monumental waits around every turn, hidden just beyond perception. Occasionally, the explorers encounter chambers where water is pooled beneath a thin ice veneer. Peering down, one sees a world beneath the surface, a delicate ecosystem of frozen stalagmites, refracted light patterns, and minuscule currents. The contrast between stillness and hidden motion is mesmerizing. It becomes clear that beneath the ice, life exists on its own terms, adapting to darkness, cold, and pressure in ways impossible to fully predict or understand. These hidden rivers hum a subtle tune, a song of persistence and quiet power that resonates through the cavern's walls. Moving deeper, the temperature and pressure subtly change the ice's behavior. Crystals refract light into unexpected colors, illuminating walls with hues of turquoise, sapphire, and the palest blue. The interplay of light, shadow, and form creates a dynamic visual landscape that shifts with every step. The air grows colder, carrying a sharp clarity that sharpens every sound, the cracking of ice, the whisper of hidden currents, the occasional fall of a distant shard. Sensory perception is heightened. The mind cannot ignore the intricate artistry of nature, nor the quiet reminders of its ever-present danger. Explorers begin to notice formations resembling abstract sculptures, columns twisted like ribbons and arches carved with precision only time can provide. There is a rhythm here, subtle yet unmistakable, a cadence established over millennia. The ice flows with deliberate intent, and each chamber encountered seems like a sentence in a long, ongoing narrative, each crystal a word chosen with care. The environment is immersive, enveloping both sight and sound, demanding attention and respect, while offering rewards of awe and revelation. Every passage holds a delicate balance between revelation and peril. Thin ice, hidden crevices, and the unrelenting pressure of the glacier above enforce caution. Yet it is within this tension that true beauty emerges. Caverns expand into halls of staggering scale, ceilings refract light in ways that seem almost supernatural, and walls glimmer with the quiet elegance of ice in motion. Here, Antarctica is not just a frozen landscape, but a living, breathing entity, its secrets slowly unveiling themselves to those who navigate its depths with patience and reverence. The ice awakens fully in these hidden chambers, revealing both fragility and power, stillness and movement, silence and sound. In the final depths of the first chapter's journey, the cavern's atmosphere thickens with the weight of time itself. Every step carries the echo of millennia, a resonance that reminds explorers of their fleeting presence within an eternal structure. The crystalline walls refract every flicker of light into cascades of brilliance, forming kaleidoscopic patterns on floors and ceilings, reflecting the glacier's patient artistry. Shadows stretch and compress as though alive, lending the cavern an almost sentient quality, and the air hums faintly with the subtle vibrations of moving ice. Subterranean rivers, hidden for centuries beneath frozen crusts, flow in quiet, persistent arcs. Their surfaces shimmer faintly, revealing glimpses of the liquid paths that sustain the glacier's internal landscape. Small eddies and ripples hint at unseen passages, tunnels beyond human sight, each carrying its own silent history. The explorers move carefully, attuned to the delicate balance between exploration and preservation, aware that every misstep could disrupt this fragile equilibrium. Yet within this caution lies wonder. Bridges of ice span unseen crevices, arches carved by slow, imperceptible movement, and chambers where ice formations mimic abstract sculpture, delicate yet imposing. The environment speaks through sensation. The cold bites sharply. The echo of footsteps magnifies isolation. The scent of mineral-rich water evokes ancient processes. Layers of ice, each representing epochs, whisper stories of climate, pressure, and the passage of time. Crystals form intricate latticework, capturing air bubbles like tiny orbs of preserved history. Observers realize that every fragment of ice, every frozen shard, carries a memory, a chronicle that is both geological and poetic, merging science with the cinematic grandeur of untouched nature. As the explorers reach the chapter's concluding chambers, the cavern opens into an immense hall. The ceiling towers above, a glittering canopy of frozen artistry, while the floor ripples subtly with concealed currents. Light, scarce yet persistent, refracts through the walls, casting ethereal hues across the ice. The interplay of illumination and shadow creates a living tableau, shifting with each breath and movement. Here the glacier is fully awake, a vast archive of geological history, beauty, and danger. Silence dominates, but it is a silence filled with stories, awaiting attentive ears and reverent eyes. Emerging from these depths, the explorers carry an acute awareness of scale, fragility, and the glacier's timeless power. The ice awakens, not as a dormant mass, but as a living entity, commanding respect, inspiring awe, and offering a narrative that stretches beyond human comprehension. Each chamber, each formation, each refracted light becomes a testament to the hidden life beneath Antarctica's frozen exterior, leaving explorers and the audience suspended in wonder, anticipating the deeper mysteries yet to unfold in subsequent chapters. Entering the hidden light-filled caverns, explorers find themselves bathed in an otherworldly glow. Sunlight filters through fissures, splintering into a spectrum of colors that dance across the icy walls like liquid fire. Each shaft of illumination reveals textures unseen in the frozen world above, surfaces polished smooth by centuries of slow movement, adorned with delicate frost formations that glimmer like diamonds. The air hums with an intangible energy, carrying whispers of ice shifting and settling over time. Here, light does not merely illuminate. It breathes life into the hidden artistry of the glaciers, transforming ordinary ice into a cathedral of refracted brilliance. The interplay between light and ice creates landscapes that defy expectation. Crystalline columns rise from the floor, refracting and splitting light into miniature rainbows, while icicle curtains sway gently with invisible currents. The explorers are drawn deeper, captivated by caverns where colors shift with every movement, shadows elongate and contract, and surfaces shimmer with hidden complexity. Every glance reveals new forms, from arches that mimic the delicate curves of seashells to frozen stalactites resembling chandeliers crafted by nature's hand. The cavern becomes a theater, and light its principal actor, performing a continuous silent symphony for those who dare to witness. Sound behaves differently here. Echoes carry longer, accentuating the cavern's immense scale. The subtle drip of meltwater, the distant groan of shifting ice, and the occasional tumble of a small crystal create a layered auditory experience that complements the visual spectacle. The explorers sense a rhythm, almost musical, imposed by the glacier itself. It is a cadence that mirrors the slow dance of ice and light, a tempo measured in millennia rather than minutes, underscoring the vast, patient artistry of this hidden world. Beneath the kaleidoscopic surfaces, the ice reveals secrets of geological history. Veins of trapped air, subtle layers of sediment, and microfossils hint at climatic shifts and ancient life forms that once brushed these frozen halls. Every crystal refracts not only light but memory, preserving a record of environmental change over eons. The cavern is alive in the mind of the observer, its frozen walls narrating stories of endurance, transformation, and delicate balance. Each passage, each chamber becomes a portal to the past, a tangible connection to epochs beyond human measure. Explorers encounter frozen pools, surfaces like liquid glass reflecting refracted light and amplifying the sense of depth and mystery. Tiny eddies beneath the ice whisper of hidden currents, a reminder that beneath apparent stillness lies movement, subtle and unstoppable. These chambers feel simultaneously ancient and immediate, eternal yet transient, fragile yet powerful. The cavern invites reverence, demanding patience and careful observation, rewarding those who proceed with glimpses of sublime beauty and intricate craftsmanship wrought by nature over unimaginable spans of time. As the explorers venture further, the caverns expand into vast halls where light refracts in unexpected ways. Sunlight, diffused through fissures above, hits walls of translucent ice, scattering into spectral arrays that shimmer across the floors and ceilings. Each step reveals new textures, rippling surfaces, and crystalline ridges that appear to move as the observer passes. The interplay of light and shadow creates a sense of living architecture. Columns of ice become towers, arches stretch into infinite corridors, and frozen waterfalls seem suspended in time, catching glimmers of color that shift with each subtle change in perspective. Tiny crystals catch the light in prismatic flashes, casting miniature rainbows that crawl along the cavern surfaces. The explorers pause to observe formations resembling intricate lacework, delicate ice flowers, and spiraled towers, their shapes sculpted by the glacier's patient flow over centuries. Even the smallest cracks and fissures serve as conduits for light, channeling illumination into hidden alcoves, revealing passages previously invisible. This delicate choreography of light, texture, and form transforms the cavern into a living canvas, an immersive theater where each moment presents a new, unpredictable masterpiece. Sound continues to complement the visual splendor. The faint drip of meltwater echoes across vast chambers, harmonizing with distant groans of ice movement. The subtle vibrations of unseen currents ripple through floors and walls, creating a rhythm in sync with the light's shifting display. Explorers are acutely aware of the cavern's scale. The echoes serve as a reminder that this is a world far larger and older than their own experience, a place where time flows differently, measured by the slow, patient evolution of ice rather than by human hours. Beneath the spectacle lies hidden complexity. Thin ice sheets overlay subterranean channels, while delicate stalactites and stalagmites form fragile bridges and arches. Each formation tells a story of pressure, temperature change, and the glacier's unrelenting movement. Veins of sediment trapped within the ice hint at environmental history, while minute air bubbles preserve glimpses of ancient atmospheres. The cavern is a record, frozen in space and time, where beauty and history coexist, offering lessons about endurance, adaptation, and the impermanence of human perspective in the face of geological processes. Light and color guide the explorers toward chambers deeper still, where icy surfaces glow with internal illumination, hinting at currents and structures hidden from immediate view. Pools of frozen water act as mirrors, doubling the spectacle and creating illusions of infinite depth. Each reflective surface refracts rays into patterns that seem both deliberate and chaotic, evoking emotions ranging from awe to a quiet, reverent fear. The cavern asserts its dominance and autonomy, revealing its secrets only to those who proceed with patience, respect, and a willingness to immerse themselves fully in the sensory symphony created by ice, shadow, and light. Venturing deeper into the caverns, The explorers find themselves in chambers where light bends and fractures in extraordinary ways. The ice here is older, denser, carrying an inner glow that seems to pulse softly, as though alive. Each crystalline wall captures the faintest hint of sunlight, transforming it into a cascading spectrum of color that shifts as observers move. These subtle variations create landscapes that are constantly changing, sculpted by light and ice together in an ongoing performance. Ceilings stretch high above, adorned with frozen stalactites that refract light into delicate patterns, while the floor undulates beneath thin sheets of ice, reflecting a mirrored, inverted version of the cavern above. Explorers note the presence of frozen waterfalls and cascading ice formations, each appearing suspended in perpetual motion. Delicate tendrils of frost extend like the fingers of an invisible artist, and columns of translucent ice resemble towers carved with meticulous precision. Every corner holds surprises. Tiny alcoves illuminated by refracted light, narrow passages leading to unexpected chambers, and arches shaped by centuries of pressure and meltwater flow. These structures seem to exist outside of conventional time, created through processes slow enough to escape human perception, yet undeniable in their visual majesty. The auditory environment amplifies the experience. The soft, almost musical dripping of water from hidden currents echoes across vast halls, harmonizing with distant, faint groans of shifting ice. Vibrations ripple subtly through floors and walls, reinforcing the perception that the glacier itself is alive, responding to both the forces within and the presence of the explorers. Sound and light combine to create an immersive environment, a silent narrative in which every shift of the eye or foot triggers a new revelation, compelling attention and reflection. Within this frozen theater, the explorers perceive the glacier's memory. Layers of ice preserve minute air bubbles, tiny traces of ancient climates, and even microscopic evidence of life long past. Sediment lines embedded in the ice reveal epochs of environmental change, frozen like the pages of a history book. Each chamber acts as both gallery and archive, displaying nature's artistry while simultaneously documenting its own passage through time. The beauty and history coexist seamlessly, a testament to patience and endurance, to forces beyond human reckoning. As explorers proceed, light continues to guide them into hidden recesses. Ice reflects, refracts, and transmits the rays, creating ephemeral patterns that seem almost sentient. Pools of frozen water act as mirrors, doubling and amplifying the spectacle, while currents beneath whisper of movement unseen. Every step demands mindfulness. Each formation is fragile yet majestic, a reminder that in these hidden chambers, the glacier is both artist and archivist, creating beauty and preserving it simultaneously. The explorers move not as conquerors, but as witnesses to a slow, patient symphony written in ice and light, a performance older than humanity and yet vividly alive in the moment. As explorers progress, the caverns expand into vast, cathedral-like spaces where light transforms ice into a living spectacle. Columns rise like frozen sentinels, refracting scattered sunlight into streams of color that pulse with subtle shifts. Icicle formations sway with invisible currents, their tips catching light in fragile, fleeting glimmers. The air is cold, yet it vibrates with the glacier's presence. Every sound, from the distant drip of meltwater to the soft creak of shifting ice, resonates with both caution and awe. Here, the frozen world commands respect, and every moment demands the observer's full attention. Tiny pockets of trapped air within the ice refract light into miniature constellations, giving the impression of a starlit sky frozen beneath the glacier. The explorers encounter frozen waterfalls, their surfaces suspended in time, each droplet crystallized mid-fall, catching light in unpredictable ways. Walls etched by slow glacial movements display a mosaic of patterns, stripes of deep blue, translucent white, and silver highlights. The cavern seems alive, responding subtly to the presence of the visitors, as if acknowledging their reverent observation of its intricate artistry. The sounds of the cavern enhance the sensory immersion. Dripping water echoes across the chambers, harmonizing with the occasional groan of ice under immense pressure. Vibrations, barely perceptible, travel through the floors and walls, reinforcing the perception that the glacier is alive, not static. Explorers realize that every sound, every echo, carries a history of movement, a record of the glacier's slow, relentless evolution. The interplay of visual and auditory elements creates a cinematic experience, one where nature's precision and patience are palpable. Hidden alcoves reveal delicate formations, spiraling icicles, crystalline bridges over silent currents, and arches shaped by centuries of pressure and water flow. Each chamber presents a unique tableau, its own story, its own expression of time's passage. Layers of ice record climatic events, preserve traces of ancient air, and house microscopic fossils, providing both beauty and historical context. The cavern becomes both gallery and archive, where light and ice together narrate the glacier's timeless story. Pools of frozen water amplify the spectacle, reflecting light back into the chamber and creating illusions of infinite depth. Currents beneath the surface whisper through the ice, hinting at movement concealed beneath apparent stillness. Explorers move carefully, aware of fragility and danger, yet compelled by the irresistible allure of the light, color, and form around them. In these moments, the glacier is revealed not just as frozen mass, but as a dynamic, living entity, a repository of history, a theater of light, and a monument to nature's patient mastery over time. In the final reaches of these luminous caverns, explorers encounter chambers where light refracts with astonishing complexity. The walls, thick with centuries of ice, act as prisms, scattering sunlight into a dazzling spectrum that seems to flow and ripple like liquid color. Frozen stalactites and stalagmites create natural frames for this spectacle, casting intricate shadows that shift with each movement, producing a visual narrative as dynamic as the glacier itself. Pools of ice capture and mirror the brilliance, doubling the effect and creating the illusion of infinite depth. The glacier's subtle motion continues to shape the caverns imperceptibly. Fissures widen, columns bend, and hidden currents shift beneath the frozen surfaces. Every sound, dripping water, shifting ice, distant cracks, becomes amplified in the immense halls, reinforcing the perception that the glacier is alive, responding to both natural forces and the careful steps of its visitors. The atmosphere is charged with a quiet energy, a tension between fragility and permanence, beauty and danger, stillness and imperceptible motion. The explorers notice details previously unseen, delicate ice filigree curling along walls, crystal formations refracting light into micro-rainbows, and surfaces etched with the invisible hand of time. Trapped air bubbles carry remnants of ancient atmospheres, telling the story of climatic shifts that occurred long before humans existed. The cavern serves as both gallery and archive, blending natural artistry with geological history, an immersive narrative written in ice and light, crafted over millennia. Traversing the final corridors, pools of frozen water reflect fractured light, creating patterns that feel almost sentient. The experience is both humbling and awe-inspiring. The explorers understand the glacier's scale, patience, and artistry. Every formation, every subtle change in color or texture narrates a story of endurance and transformation. Here, in these hidden halls, light and ice become a language of their own, a silent dialogue between the glacier and those who seek to witness its wonders. Emerging from these luminous depths, explorers carry a profound awareness of Antarctica's hidden life. The caverns of light reveal the glacier as more than frozen water, a dynamic, living entity that communicates through form, light, and sound. Every chamber visited, every shadow and reflection observed, adds to an understanding of the glacier's timeless narrative. The chapter concludes with the glacier's quiet assertion of its dominance, leaving both the explorers and the audience suspended in reverence, anticipation, and a sense of discovery yet to unfold in the chapters ahead. Descending into the unexplored depths of the Antarctic caverns, explorers encounter a world of shadow and contrast. Here the ice grows dense and opaque, absorbing light instead of reflecting it. The walls shimmer with a muted metallic blue, and the floors drop into hidden crevices, hinting at channels and rivers carved over millennia. The air is colder, heavier, carrying the faint scent of mineral-rich water and the intangible weight of geological history. Every footstep produces echoes that reverberate unpredictably, creating a haunting soundscape that reminds visitors of the immensity and isolation of the frozen abyss. The terrain becomes increasingly treacherous. Narrow passages lead to sheer drops, while fragile ice bridges arch over unseen currents. Explorers navigate carefully, aware that each movement has the potential to alter the delicate balance of this subterranean world. The faintest crack or vibration can release a cascade of ice. Yet these dangers coexist with moments of startling beauty. Frozen waterfalls suspended in mid-motion, arches carved with precision by slow-moving water, and intricate crystalline formations glinting faintly in sparse light. The frozen abyss demands both caution and awe. Deeper chambers reveal structures that evoke both grandeur and mystery. Ceilings rise tens of meters above, studded with stalactites that refract minimal light, creating faint glimmers in the darkness. Ice columns, twisted and contorted by ancient pressures, form labyrinthine passages that seem alive, guiding explorers along unpredictable paths. The silence here is profound, broken only by the occasional drip of water or the faint groan of shifting ice. Time feels suspended. Minutes stretch into hours, and the explorers sense that this abyss has existed in isolation far longer than human memory can comprehend. The frozen rivers beneath the surface add another layer of intrigue. Though hidden from direct view, their presence is felt through subtle vibrations and the occasional whisper of water passing through subterranean channels. These currents carve the ice continuously, reshaping the landscape imperceptibly yet relentlessly. The explorers realize they are witnessing an environment in constant, silent motion, a paradox of permanence and change. Each formation tells a story, each fracture a record of forces that are patient, immense, and indifferent to human observation. Amidst the darkness, explorers begin to perceive patterns in the ice that hint at ancient processes and unseen histories. Veins of sediment and trapped air bubbles reveal past climates, environmental shifts, and perhaps traces of long-extinct life. The ice preserves these memories like a frozen archive, offering a narrative encoded in its structure. The deeper the explorers venture, the more they recognize that the frozen abyss is not merely a geological formation, but a living chronicle of time itself, a testament to the slow, relentless artistry of Antarctica's glaciers. Moving further into the abyss, the explorers are confronted with chambers that defy scale and expectation. Walls of dense ice stretch upward, disappearing into shadows that seem infinite. The color palette shifts from muted blues to deep, almost inky hues, suggesting both depth and history embedded in the frozen stone. Each surface reveals intricate striations, evidence of slow, immense forces shaping the subterranean landscape. Light is scarce here, trickling through fissures or reflecting off distant walls, forcing observers to rely on subtle glimmers that highlight textures, cracks, and hidden formations. The cavern seems alive, as if breathing, shaping itself imperceptibly in response to the unseen currents that course through it. Footsteps echo ominously in the immense halls. The air carries a biting chill, heightening the perception of both danger and wonder. Explorers must move deliberately, testing each step across ice bridges that span hidden chasms. Beneath their feet, unseen rivers hum with quiet persistence. A reminder that beneath apparent stillness lies constant motion. These rivers have sculpted the frozen abyss for millennia, carving channels, widening caverns, and polishing surfaces into crystalline perfection. Every formation encountered is a frozen testament to time, patience, and the unstoppable forces of nature. The deeper chambers reveal formations resembling abstract monuments. Massive stalagmites twist and rise like frozen spires, while arching bridges of ice connect distant walls, sometimes spanning tens of meters. Subtle light refracts through these structures, creating patterns that appear almost intentional, as though the glacier itself is an architect. Explorers pause frequently, awed by the scale and precision of the formations, realizing that human presence is transient in comparison to the glacier's slow, deliberate evolution. Each step forward becomes both an act of discovery and a study in humility. Sensory perception intensifies in the abyss. The faint hum of flowing water beneath frozen surfaces blends with the echoing cracks of distant ice. Trapped air bubbles and sediment layers reveal a chronicle of past climates and hidden ecosystems, providing a tangible connection to epochs long before human existence. Even the cold itself seems to communicate, pressing against skin, sharpening awareness, demanding focus and respect. Here, the frozen abyss becomes more than a physical space. It is a living archive, a narrative of endurance, transformation, and geological artistry. As explorers advance, they encounter chambers where the ice forms complex, overlapping layers, each refracting light in unpredictable ways. Shadows dance across walls, creating illusions of movement and depth that challenge perception. Pools of frozen water act as mirrors, reflecting the cavern's architecture and doubling the visual complexity. The explorers realize that every chamber is unique, each telling a different chapter in the glacier's long history. In this hidden world, beauty and danger coexist, and the frozen abyss reveals itself fully to those who proceed with patience, reverence, and unwavering attention to the subtle details that define its timeless majesty. Descending into the most remote chambers, the explorers enter a domain where light is nearly non-existent, and ice takes on a density that seems to absorb sound itself. Every step becomes amplified, echoing unpredictably, creating a haunting rhythm that resonates through the cavern's vastness. The walls are lined with jagged formations, some resembling abstract sculptures, others like frozen waves caught mid-motion. The air is charged with a subtle tension, a mixture of cold, moisture, and the weight of centuries compressed into the ice around them. Each movement feels consequential, each pause a moment suspended in time. Beneath their feet, hidden channels of water ripple beneath frozen sheets, producing vibrations felt rather than heard. These subterranean rivers, slow and patient, carve paths unseen, reshaping the cavern's architecture imperceptibly but relentlessly. The explorers observe arches and bridges of ice, spanning gaping crevices, delicate yet strong, a testament to the glacier's duality of fragility and endurance. Shadows cast by these structures seem alive, stretching across walls and floors, creating illusions of movement, forms that vanish as quickly as they appear. The abyss is both labyrinth and stage, presenting nature's artistry and its hidden perils simultaneously. Within this frozen expanse, patterns in the ice reveal the glacier's ancient memory. Trapped bubbles of air hold whispers of past atmospheres, while sediment layers tell stories of environmental change. Every fracture, every crystalline protrusion serves as both artwork and chronicle, narrating epochs that predate human observation. The explorers sense the enormity of time, a rhythm that moves far slower than their own existence, and realize that they are witnesses to processes unfolding over millennia. Here, the ice is not inert. It is a living archive, preserving the essence of Antarctica itself. As the explorers move deeper, the cavern's architecture becomes increasingly intricate. Twisting corridors of ice lead to chambers with ceilings tens of meters high, adorned with stalactites refracting minimal light. Floors undulate beneath them, hinting at subterranean currents that remain invisible but audible through subtle vibrations. Each step brings discovery and the humbling realization that human presence is fleeting against this backdrop of geological time. The frozen abyss is a dynamic interplay of stillness and motion, of light and shadow, of beauty and danger, demanding both reverence and careful attention. The sensory experience intensifies as explorers encounter crystalline formations that refract faint illumination into patterns resembling constellations. Frozen galaxies suspended in space. The ambient silence amplifies every sound, the drip of water, the subtle shift of ice, the distant groan of pressure being released. In this environment, the glacier communicates through texture, vibration, and light, imparting lessons about patience, resilience, and the slow perfection of natural forces. Each chamber tells a story, each formation a sentence, creating a narrative of time, endurance, and the sublime artistry of the frozen abyss. Deeper into the abyss, the ice becomes almost opaque, absorbing what little light penetrates the cavern. Shadows stretch unnaturally, blending with the jagged architecture of frozen spires and ridges. Explorers sense the glacier's scale through sound. Each footfall reverberates unpredictably, echoing across cavern walls and emphasizing isolation. The chill is penetrating, seizing the senses and heightening every perception: air, texture, vibration, and light. Even the faintest sound of shifting ice is amplified, reinforcing the immensity of the subterranean space and the glacier's silent dominion. The terrain grows increasingly complex. Fragile ice bridges span unseen chasms, and hidden currents pulse beneath frozen sheets, imperceptible yet potent. Vertical shafts descend into darkness, their depth hinting at an endless network of chambers and channels below. Explorers maneuver with precision, balancing curiosity with caution, acutely aware that every step has consequence. Yet within this treacherous environment, moments of breathtaking beauty emerge. Crystalline columns refract light from distant fissures. Frozen waterfalls hang suspended mid-motion, and intricate ice filigree lines walls with delicate artistry. Each encounter reveals a new dimension of the glacier's patient craftsmanship. Within these chambers, the ice preserves ancient history. Trapped air bubbles, sediment layers, and microfossils provide glimpses of past climates and environmental shifts. Each formation is a record, a page in the glacier's enduring chronicle. Subtle vibrations from underlying currents remind explorers that the glacier is alive, constantly reshaping itself, balancing permanence and transformation. Every observation deepens the understanding that this abyss is not inert. It is a living, breathing archive, a domain where time unfolds on a scale beyond human comprehension. Explorers notice how light, though minimal, transforms the environment. Faint rays entering through cracks reflect off crystal surfaces, creating ephemeral patterns across walls and floors. Shadows twist and merge, giving the impression of motion where there is none. Pools of frozen water act as mirrors, doubling the visual spectacle and heightening the sense of infinite depth. The interplay of light, shadow, and form evokes a narrative woven by nature over millennia, an immersive, cinematic experience in which human perception is constantly challenged and expanded. Advancing further, the glacier's artistry becomes increasingly apparent. Arching ice bridges, towering spires, and intricate filigree testify to the delicate balance of fragility and resilience. Each formation conveys both aesthetic beauty and geological insight, narrating the persistent, patient forces that have shaped the Antarctic interior. In this frozen abyss, explorers witness the slow perfection of natural processes, a narrative of endurance, transformation, and sublime design. Every chamber, every crystal, every shadow is part of a continuous story, revealing Antarctica not merely as a frozen landscape, but as a dynamic living entity that commands reverence, study, and awe. At the deepest reaches, the abyss opens into chambers of staggering scale, where ice towers rise like monumental sculptures. Each formation, from massive stalagmites to delicate filigree, bears the imprint of centuries of glacial pressure and slow motion. Light, scarce and diffused, refracts through the dense ice, casting ethereal hues across walls and floors. Shadows intertwine with crystalline structures, creating patterns that seem almost intentional, as though the glacier itself is scripting a visual narrative in real time. Every surface is alive with detail, every glance revealing new textures and forms, demanding close attention from explorers who move cautiously, reverently, through this frozen cathedral. The air carries the glacier's ancient memory. Trapped bubbles of air preserve echoes of past climates. Layers of sediment record environmental shifts. Minuscule fossils hint at life long extinguished. Hidden currents beneath thin sheets of ice hum with barely perceptible energy, continuously reshaping the cavern's architecture. Explorers sense the subtle pulse of this living environment, the slow, patient forces that continue unobserved, sculpting the frozen landscape with deliberate persistence. Each formation becomes both artifact and storyteller, chronicling epics far beyond human experience. Navigating narrow passages and spanning fragile ice bridges, explorers witness frozen waterfalls and arches suspended in mid-motion. Each display of glacial artistry combines danger and awe, beauty forged under immense pressure, simultaneously fragile and enduring. The interplay of light, shadow, and texture creates a sensory immersion that is both cinematic and profound. Pools of reflective ice double the spectacle, hinting at infinite depth, while subtle vibrations convey the glacier's unseen currents, reinforcing the perception of life and motion within stillness. The frozen abyss asserts its dominance over human presence, yet offers revelation to those who proceed with patience and care. Every detail, from jagged walls to polished columns, from trapped sediment to ethereal light patterns, is part of an ongoing narrative, a testament to endurance, transformation, and the sublime artistry of natural processes. In these hidden chambers, explorers encounter Antarctica not as a frozen expanse, but as a living, breathing entity, preserving memory and crafting beauty over millennia. The Abyss concludes this chapter with a profound sense of scale, mystery, and the promise of deeper revelations awaiting in the chapters ahead. The sub-zero labyrinths reveal themselves as a network of passages so intricate that they defy simple navigation. Walls of ice rise like monolithic towers, twisting and spiraling into corridors that disappear into darkness. The air is frigid and dense, carrying the faint scent of mineral-rich meltwater. Footsteps echo across frozen floors, amplifying isolation and the cavern's vast scale. Each turn uncovers chambers with unique formations. Arches of translucent ice, jagged spires, and suspended stalactites that refract the scarce light into ghostly glimmers. The labyrinth is both a puzzle and a theater, where every passage holds the potential for discovery or danger. Explorers note subtle patterns etched into the walls. Layers of ice reveal centuries of glacial movement, the rhythm of pressure and melting captured in crystalline striations. Tiny veins of trapped sediment hint at environmental history, while microfossils preserved in the ice narrate stories of ancient ecosystems. Light filters through fissures, refracting across surfaces in spectral arrays, painting each corridor with shifting colors. Even the faintest glow becomes a guide, illuminating passages while revealing hidden dangers. Thin ice bridges, steep drops, and fragile formations that require careful navigation. Sound behaves unusually within the labyrinth. Dripping water echoes endlessly, harmonizing with distant groans of shifting ice, producing a haunting auditory landscape. Vibrations from hidden currents beneath frozen surfaces are felt as much as heard, reminding explorers of the glacier's persistent movement. This sensory interplay heightens perception, forcing attention to every detail. The angle of a crystalline wall, the shimmer of a distant formation, the faint echo of unseen water. The labyrinth is alive, both a challenge and a revelation, demanding acute observation and measured steps. Each chamber within the sub-zero labyrinths offers moments of profound beauty. Frozen waterfalls hang suspended, their surfaces catching light to create transient rainbows. Crystal filigree, sculpted over centuries, adorns walls and ceilings, forming patterns that appear almost deliberate. Pools of frozen water reflect these forms, amplifying the visual complexity and suggesting infinite depth. Explorers experience both awe and humility. The glacier's patient artistry is both formidable and fragile, commanding reverence while revealing a narrative of endurance and transformation. Hidden currents beneath the ice continue to shape the labyrinth silently. Subtle shifts in the frozen surfaces signal the glacier's ongoing work. Channels widen, arches are polished, and crystalline towers grow imperceptibly taller. Explorers recognize that they are witnesses to processes unfolding over millennia, experiencing a frozen archive of both geological and artistic creation. Every corridor navigated, every chamber explored, reinforces the notion that the sub-zero labyrinths are more than physical space. They are living monuments to time, pressure, and the meticulous patience of nature's design. Venturing deeper into the labyrinth, the explorers encounter passages that narrow and twist unpredictably, forcing them to move with deliberate precision. Ice walls rise on either side, polished smooth in some areas, jagged and fractured in others, reflecting faint glimmers of light from distant fissures. The color palette shifts subtly, from pale, translucent blues to deep, almost metallic tones, revealing layers of history embedded within the glacier. Each turn presents new formations, frozen spires resembling sculptures, arches that seem impossibly delicate yet enduring, and crystalline filigree that shimmers like spun silver. The labyrinth becomes an immersive theater, where light, shadow, and texture play continuously across surfaces. Sound behaves in strange, echoing ways. Every footstep, every breath, every drip of water is amplified, bouncing unpredictably off walls and ceilings. Vibrations from hidden currents beneath the ice travel subtly through the frozen floors, felt as much as heard. This combination of sensory input heightens perception, forcing explorers to focus on the interplay of visual cues and tactile sensations. The labyrinth seems alive, its movement slow and imperceptible yet undeniable, reshaping itself even as it is observed. Explorers sense the weight of time pressing through the ice, each chamber a preserved testament to the glacier's ongoing evolution. Within the labyrinth, light acts as both guide and narrative force. Rays entering through fissures refract across icy surfaces, illuminating hidden recesses and drawing attention to delicate structures. Stalactites, refracting spectral colors, frozen waterfalls suspended mid-flow, and ice bridges spanning unseen chasms. Reflections in pools of frozen water amplify the visual spectacle, creating illusions of infinite depth and complexity. Explorers realize that every formation is a sentence in the glacier's story, narrating centuries of pressure, movement, and climate, silently conveying the glacier's history to those who pay close attention. Hidden microstructures reveal the glacier's intricate artistry. Tiny air bubbles trapped in the ice, veins of sediment, and microscopic fossils provide evidence of ancient climates and ecosystems frozen in place for millennia. These formations combine with larger structures to create a layered narrative of endurance, fragility, and transformation. Explorers perceive the sub-zero labyrinths as both gallery and archive, where beauty and history converge. Each corridor navigated and chamber explored deepens the understanding that the glacier is a living, breathing entity, its slow work continuing beyond human perception. The labyrinth challenges explorers' physical and mental limits. Narrow corridors, fragile ice bridges, and steep drops demand caution and precision. Yet the environment rewards patience and reverence with moments of sublime revelation. Vast halls illuminated by refracted light, delicate crystal filigree, and frozen rivers that ripple silently beneath transparent surfaces. Here, the glacier is both architect and archivist, crafting structures of awe-inspiring beauty while preserving the memory of millennia. In these chambers, explorers witness the slow, patient mastery of natural forces, gaining perspective on time, endurance, and the sublime scale of Antarctica's frozen interior. Progressing deeper, the labyrinth unfolds into chambers of astonishing scale and complexity. Ice towers rise like frozen cathedrals, their translucent walls refracting minimal light into faint, shifting patterns. Each surface reveals striations and fractures, evidence of centuries of glacial pressure and movement. Shadows lengthen and bend in unpredictable ways, creating illusions of motion and depth. The explorers move with deliberate care, aware that the environment is as treacherous as it is beautiful. Every step carries the weight of consequence, and yet every glance reveals new forms, delicate filigree, spiraling spires and arches that defy gravity, sculpted by the patient hand of nature over millennia. Beneath the surface, hidden currents pulse silently. Water channels, trapped under frozen layers, shape the architecture imperceptibly, widening crevices and smoothing surfaces with relentless patience. The glacier's movements are subtle yet omnipresent, producing vibrations that are felt as much as heard. Footsteps echo unpredictably, blending with the ambient hum of shifting ice and the faint drip of meltwater. Explorers sense that they are navigating a living structure, one that continues to evolve and record history in real time. Each chamber offers both aesthetic and geological insight, merging sensory wonder with scientific revelation. Light becomes a medium of narrative. Shafts of illumination entering through fissures interact with ice to create ethereal spectacles, rainbows dancing across walls, mirrored reflections in frozen pools, and refracted patterns that shift with every motion. Frozen waterfalls, suspended mid-flow, glimmer with refracted color, and ice bridges connect distant structures with delicate precision. Observers realize that the glacier's artistry is deliberate yet patient, created through forces imperceptible to human timescales. Each formation tells a story of pressure, temperature change, and the passage of time, both fragile and enduring. Embedded within the ice are microcosms of history. Air bubbles trapped in crystalline layers preserve ancient atmospheres, while veins of sediment and microscopic fossils offer evidence of long-extinct ecosystems. These details combine with larger structures to create a layered narrative, where beauty and historical record are inseparable. The sub-zero labyrinths function as both gallery and archive, showcasing the glacier's artistry while preserving its memory. Explorers gain an acute awareness of time and scale, recognizing the glacier's work as a testament to endurance, transformation, and meticulous natural design. As the explorers navigate further, the labyrinth challenges perception and resilience. Narrow corridors, fragile bridges, and steep drops test physical and mental acuity, while moments of sublime revelation reward careful observation. Glittering spires, crystalline filigree, and frozen rivers hinting at invisible currents below. The glacier asserts both majesty and caution, revealing secrets slowly and only to those attentive enough to perceive them. In this intricate frozen network, explorers witness the glacier as architect, archivist, and living entity embodying millennia of patience, beauty, and relentless natural force. Deeper corridors of the labyrinth reveal halls that expand beyond immediate perception. Ice walls rise like monumental facades, twisting into arches and towers that stretch toward unseen ceilings. Light filters through rare fissures, scattering across surfaces in spectral arrays, illuminating patterns previously unnoticed. Shadows fold upon themselves, creating an illusion of movement and depth that challenges the explorer's senses. The air is dense, cold, and almost tactile, pressing awareness into every movement and heightening perception. Every step becomes an act of navigation and observation, demanding patience and reverence. The terrain grows increasingly perilous. Ice bridges span unseen chasms, fragile yet enduring, while floors undulate over concealed currents. Hidden rivers beneath the surface produce subtle vibrations, indicating ongoing subterranean flow. Explorers must balance curiosity with caution, aware that misstep could trigger cascading effects. Despite the danger, the environment rewards those who move carefully. Intricate stalactites refract minimal light into spectral splinters. Frozen waterfalls remain suspended in mid-motion, and crystalline filigree decorates walls and ceilings like nature's own artwork. The labyrinth is a theater of extremes, combining fragility and permanence, stillness and imperceptible motion. Within these chambers, ice preserves a record of time and environment. Trapped air bubbles, sediment layers, and microscopic fossils narrate ancient climates and ecosystems. Every formation functions as both visual spectacle and historical archive. Subtle shifts in ice surfaces reveal ongoing glacial processes, a reminder that the sub-zero labyrinths are not static but living entities, continuously reshaping themselves. Observers perceive a dialogue between geological forces and aesthetic creation, understanding the glacier's role as both artist and archivist. Each chamber communicates lessons in endurance, transformation, and the patient power of nature. Light, though minimal, becomes an essential guide. Shafts refracting through crystalline structures illuminate hidden passages, reveal delicate patterns, and accentuate arches, spires, and bridges. Pools of frozen water reflect and multiply these effects, creating illusions of infinite depth and complexity. The explorers move with heightened awareness, attuned to subtle cues of light, shadow, and vibration. In this frozen theater, every chamber narrates its own story, blending natural artistry with geological history, and revealing the glacier's patient mastery over time. Pressure and environmental change. Advancing further, the labyrinth's design becomes increasingly intricate. Twisting corridors, overlapping layers, and crystalline formations create a multi-dimensional network that challenges both perception and endurance. Observers gain an acute awareness of scale, recognizing human presence as fleeting against the glacier's slow, deliberate processes. The sub-zero labyrinths are simultaneously perilous and sublime, fragile yet eternal, commanding both caution and reverence. Here, explorers witness Antarctica's frozen interior as a living archive, an ongoing narrative of patience, artistry, and relentless natural force, a story written in ice and shadow over millennia. At the labyrinth's deepest points, chambers expand into colossal spaces where ice towers soar like frozen cathedrals. Translucent walls refract sparse light into faint, shifting rainbows, while shadows intertwine with crystalline formations, creating a living mosaic. The scale is overwhelming. Every formation, from massive stalagmites to delicate filigree, demands close observation. Pools of frozen water reflect the spectacle, amplifying its depth and complexity, producing illusions of endless corridors. Explorers move with care, aware that even minor vibrations can alter fragile structures, yet captivated by the sublime artistry surrounding them. Beneath the apparent stillness, hidden currents hum silently, continuously reshaping ice formations. Each subtle shift communicates the glacier's ongoing activity, its patient, persistent sculpting of the environment. Air bubbles, sediment veins, and embedded fossils preserve epochs of climate and life, providing a tangible connection to history. The labyrinth is both gallery and archive, a fusion of beauty and memory. Observers realize that every crystalline surface, every shadow, and every refracted beam narrates the glacier's ancient story, a record of endurance, transformation, and the meticulous passage of time. Navigating narrow passages and delicate bridges, explorers encounter suspended frozen waterfalls, towering ice columns, and intricately carved arches. Light refracted through the ice reveals hidden textures, subtle cracks, and formations that appear almost sentient. The interplay of sound, vibration, and visual spectacle creates an immersive experience. Every echo, drip, and glimmer reinforces the perception of a living, breathing environment. The glacier asserts its dominance, teaching patience and respect through both its grandeur and fragility. The sub-zero labyrinths conclude this chapter with a profound demonstration of scale, artistry, and persistence. Every corridor traversed, every chamber observed, leaves explorers with a heightened awareness of the glacier's power and precision. These frozen halls are more than physical structures. They are active narratives, alive with history, motion, and the artistry of natural forces operating over millennia. Antarctica's hidden labyrinths communicate endurance, transformation, and the sublime mastery of time, leaving observers suspended between awe, reverence, and anticipation for the discoveries yet to come in the final chapter. The final chapter plunges explorers into the most remote and concealed regions of Antarctica's hidden ice. Here, light is a rare visitor, filtering faintly through narrow fissures and casting fragmented beams across walls of dense, ancient ice. Each surface reflects and absorbs differently, creating an ethereal interplay of shadow and shimmer. The air is frigid, carrying the subtle scent of mineral-rich water and the palpable weight of millennia. Every footstep resonates through hollow chambers, echoing unpredictably, a reminder of the immense scale and isolation of this frozen frontier. The terrain grows increasingly perilous. Narrow corridors wind into vast halls, ice bridges span unseen crevices, and vertical shafts descend into darkness. Explorers navigate with painstaking precision, aware that misstep can fracture centuries of delicate formation. Despite these dangers, the environment offers glimpses of unparalleled beauty. Suspended frozen waterfalls, crystalline spires refracting minimal light, and arches that appear sculpted with deliberate artistry. Each formation is a testament to the glacier's patient evolution, a record of pressure, movement, and time encoded in ice. Beneath the surface, hidden currents whisper their persistent, unseen motion. Meltwater flows silently under frozen layers, reshaping chambers imperceptibly while preserving structural integrity. Subtle vibrations resonate through the floors, providing sensory feedback of the glacier's ongoing activity. Explorers realize they are witnessing a living archive, where beauty and geological history intertwine. Every striation, every trapped bubble of air, and every layer of sediment conveys a narrative of climate, endurance, and the passage of time. written in frozen form for centuries beyond human perception. The interplay of light within these secret chambers becomes a narrative force. Shafts, refracting through ice, reveal hidden recesses, accentuate arches and spires, and illuminate delicate filigree with spectral hues. Pools of frozen water double the effect, reflecting and multiplying light while suggesting infinite depth. Explorers experience a heightened sense of perception, where every shimmer, shadow, and texture conveys both aesthetic and historical significance. The ice communicates its story through form, light, and subtle motion, guiding observers through a silent yet profoundly immersive experience. Advancing further, explorers encounter the glacier's most intricate formations, overlapping crystalline layers, arches of impossible delicacy, and ice towers rising like frozen monuments. Each structure embodies both fragility and endurance, beauty and history. Embedded within the ice, ancient air bubbles and sediment layers offer glimpses of long-extinct climates and ecosystems. The sub-zero labyrinths have prepared explorers for these revelations, but the icebound secrets surpass all previous chambers in complexity, scale, and narrative depth, emphasizing the glacier's mastery over time, patience, and artistic expression. Deeper into the icebound passages, explorers confront chambers of astonishing scale, where ceilings soar tens of meters above and walls glimmer with refracted light. The translucent ice captures every subtle motion, turning shadows into flowing patterns and reflections into illusions of infinite depth. Narrow corridors open into vast halls, some so expansive that sound seems swallowed before it can return, creating a profound sense of isolation. Each chamber presents a unique environment, sculpted by centuries of pressure, melt, and frozen water, revealing a narrative encoded in texture, form, and light. Beneath the visible surfaces, hidden currents continue their silent work. Meltwater moves subtly under sheets of ice, gradually reshaping channels, widening fissures, and polishing surfaces. Vibrations from these subterranean flows are felt through the floor, a constant reminder that the glacier is alive, patient, and persistent. Explorers recognize that every crystal, arch, and formation is a product of these imperceptible forces, a record of time and environmental change. The icebound secrets are simultaneously delicate and enduring, challenging human perception of both scale and fragility. Light interacts with the ice in dynamic, transformative ways. Faint rays entering through cracks and fissures scatter across walls and ceilings, illuminating intricate stalactites and frozen waterfalls. Pools of frozen water reflect these formations, doubling the spectacle and creating optical illusions that suggest infinite corridors and towers. The interplay of light, shadow, and reflection conveys a sense of motion, turning still ice into an immersive narrative canvas. Each visual detail contributes to the glacier's story, blending geological history with artistry forged over millennia. Embedded within the ice, microcosms of ancient life and climate provide tangible connections to past epochs. Trapped air bubbles, layers of sediment, and microscopic fossils preserve fragments of ecosystems long extinct, silently chronicling environmental shifts. Explorers realize that the icebound secrets serve as both gallery and archive, displaying beauty while recording history. Every formation, every subtle vibration, and every reflection communicates a layered narrative of endurance, transformation, and the meticulous artistry of natural processes. Navigating these chambers demands heightened awareness. Fragile ice bridges, steep descents, and narrow passages test both precision and patience. Yet these challenges are counterbalanced by awe-inspiring discoveries. Crystalline spires, suspended frozen waterfalls, arches of impossible delicacy, and pools reflecting refracted light. The glacier reveals itself not only as a sculptor but also as a chronicler, preserving time, climate, and motion in frozen form. In the icebound secrets, explorers confront the full scale, complexity, and narrative depth of Antarctica's hidden ice, witnessing a living archive of endurance, artistry, and transformation. Artistry and transformation. In the labyrinthine depths of the icebound secrets, explorers find chambers where ice seems both eternal and fragile. Massive walls tower above, translucent yet dense, absorbing and scattering the scarce light that penetrates deep fissures. Each surface bears striations, fractures, and delicate textures, evidence of centuries of glacial pressure and slow evolution. Shadows shift with the explorer's movements, blending with crystalline formations to create illusions of motion and depth. Every step requires precision. Every glance reveals layers of intricate artistry and geological history interwoven seamlessly across the frozen landscape. Hidden currents beneath the ice hum silently, shaping the cavern invisibly yet persistently. Meltwater flows through channels concealed under frozen surfaces, subtly altering arches, spires, and floor contours. Vibrations from these currents are felt more than heard, reinforcing the glacier's presence as a dynamic living system. Explorers sense the glacier's ongoing work. Every formation, every fracture, every polished surface is a product of forces operating beyond human perception. The icebound secrets are alive with patient motion, a paradox of permanence and subtle transformation unfolding across millennia. Light becomes an essential guide, revealing hidden recesses and delicate formations. Shafts refracting through crystalline ice illuminate suspended waterfalls, arches, and spires with spectral brilliance. Pools of frozen water reflect these forms, multiplying patterns and creating illusions of infinite complexity. The interplay of illumination and shadow conveys motion within stillness, transforming the glacier into a silent storyteller. Every crystal, every ridge, every reflection contributes to a narrative of endurance, artistry, and the glacier's meticulous construction over centuries. Embedded within the ice are records of the past. Trapped air bubbles preserve ancient atmospheres. Sediment layers indicate historical climatic events, and microscopic fossils hint at long-extinct ecosystems. Each chamber functions as both gallery and archive, merging aesthetic wonder with historical documentation. Explorers gain awareness of the glacier's scale, patience, and precision, understanding that the icebound secrets encapsulate the relentless artistry of natural processes. Beauty and history coexist seamlessly, challenging human perception while rewarding attentive observation. The explorers advance further into chambers that combine vast scale with intricate detail. Crystal spires, arches, and filigree formations intertwine, sculpted by the glacier's slow, unyielding hand. Fragile ice bridges cross unseen crevices, and frozen waterfalls hang suspended, refracting the faintest light into ethereal spectrums. Every element contributes to a narrative of endurance, transformation, and timeless artistry. The icebound secrets assert the glacier's dominance and mastery, revealing the culmination of Antarctica's hidden interior as a living, breathing archive of millennia, leaving observers suspended between awe, reverence, and profound understanding. Further into the depths, explorers encounter chambers where ice towers soar like monumental sculptures. The translucent walls scatter the scarce light into spectral arrays, creating shifting patterns that play across floors and ceilings. Shadows merge and dissolve with crystalline formations, producing illusions of movement and depth. The air is dense, frigid, and almost tactile, pressing the explorer's senses into heightened awareness. Each step becomes a deliberate act of navigation and observation, where caution and reverence are inseparable from discovery. The labyrinth grows increasingly complex. Narrow corridors and fragile ice bridges demand precision, while floors undulate over hidden currents, suggesting imperceptible motion below. Subterranean water channels reshape the environment silently, sculpting arches, spires, and columns with relentless patience. Sound behaves unpredictably. Every footstep, every drip, every shift echoes differently depending on distance and structure. Explorers perceive the glacier as a living entity, its slow, subtle movements shaping the environment continuously. The icebound secrets are alive, a frozen chronicle of geological artistry and endurance. Light transforms these chambers into immersive narratives. Beams refract through crystal filigree, illuminating suspended waterfalls, arches, and ice towers in ethereal colors. Pools of frozen water reflect and multiply the effect, creating the illusion of infinite depth. Each formation conveys both visual beauty and temporal narrative, the glacier's history of pressure, melting, and motion. The explorers understand that they are observing not just structures of ice, but the glacier's patient, ongoing creation of a living gallery, a record of time and climate embedded in frozen form. Embedded microstructures preserve evidence of ancient life and climate. Trapped air bubbles, sediment veins, and microscopic fossils document ecological and atmospheric conditions across millennia. The icebound secrets function as gallery and archive simultaneously, merging aesthetic experience with historical insight. Each chamber reveals layers of complexity, inviting careful observation and reflection. Explorers gain an acute awareness of the glacier's scale, patience, and precision, recognizing that these frozen halls embody both beauty and enduring natural history. As they progress, explorers navigate intricate networks of overlapping passages and towering ice formations. Delicate arches span deep crevices, frozen waterfalls hang suspended, and crystalline filigree decorates every surface. Each element contributes to a narrative of endurance and transformation, showcasing the glacier's artistry over centuries. The icebound secrets culminate as a living testament to Antarctica's frozen interior, a final revelation of scale, complexity, and sublime beauty. Observers emerge with profound understanding of time, natural force, and the glacier's patient mastery over both form and history. At the outermost chambers of the icebound secrets, the explorers encounter the glacier's most monumental displays. Ice towers rise like frozen cathedrals, their translucent walls refracting minimal light into spectral colors. Shadows intertwine with crystalline spires, creating illusions of motion and depth. Pools of frozen water reflect these formations, multiplying the visual complexity and suggesting infinite corridors. Every surface, from jagged ridges to polished columns, tells a story of pressure, persistence, and geological artistry accumulated over millennia. Explorers navigate carefully, aware that human presence is fleeting against the glacier's enduring scale. Beneath the apparent stillness, hidden currents continue their silent work. Meltwater flows beneath frozen layers, slowly widening channels and polishing surfaces, shaping arches, bridges, and spires with relentless patience. Vibrations from these currents are subtle yet constant, reminding observers of the glacier's dynamic nature. Embedded air bubbles, sediment layers, and microfossils preserve the memory of ancient climates, ecosystems, and environmental shifts. Each chamber serves as both visual spectacle and historical archive, blending aesthetic wonder with factual record, creating a layered narrative of time and endurance. Light becomes a narrative medium in these final chambers. Beams refracting through intricate ice filigree illuminate suspended waterfalls, towering spires, and arches of delicate precision. Pools reflect these forms, doubling the spectacle and creating illusions of infinite complexity. Explorers experience an immersive environment where stillness conveys motion, shadow conveys depth, and every formation communicates both artistry and history. The glacier narrates its story through form, light, and texture, revealing centuries of patient creation and continuous transformation. The icebound secret's culmination emphasizes the glacier's duality, fragile yet enduring, beautiful yet formidable, static yet alive. Every detail, from delicate crystal filigree to massive ice towers, embodies time, pressure, and natural artistry. Explorers emerge with an acute awareness of scale, endurance, and the glacier's meticulous work. These frozen halls are not mere structures. They are living archives, preserving beauty and history across millennia. The icebound secrets leave a final impression of Antarctica as a dynamic, patient, and profoundly artistic force, an eternal testament to natural mastery and the sublime power of ice.